Nej, det är bara kasta. Den funkar inte helt. Ja. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Goto 10. I'll move over here a little bit because welcome to you all here in Linköping, and welcome to all of you that are watching out there in cyberspace. I know you are a few people. Welcome to you as well. So, my name is Christopher Cameron. I work part-time in Linköping Science Park and part-time here at Internetstiftelsen at Goto 10. How many have been here before? I know a few. Oh, that's like 96% of the people here today. But for the new guys, because I know there is a little delegation from Austria today, I'll just talk a little bit about what the Internet Foundation is in Sweden. So the Internet Foundation is the organization and the infrastructure of the internet in Sweden. They control the domain .su, eller .se and .nu, and the profit for that organization goes to fund this place so we can give back to the community in like all things digital and everything internet related. We want to help startups to build up new companies in the digital space. We want to help the normal companies and the big companies to just meet around and have a good time, come here, work together and do events like we do today. And in this concept, we have a few companies. And the last time it was Ericsson, and today it is our local heroes, Nyra. So I will not say that much more. I will leave the microphone over to Johan, and then he will take it away.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm supposed to be standing here, but I'm probably going to forget that, so I might be standing in front of the screen a lot. My name is Johan Petersson. I work as a product manager at Nyra Dynamics, mainly with our data product for the road maintenance industry, and then a subcategory for winter maintenance. Yeah, and today I will talk about our sort of innovation journey that we have done since a few years ago. On October 1st this year, we released a new tool where our data is used. I'm going to talk more about it now, but it's basically called Road Insights, and it's meant for sort of people working with road maintenance in different areas. But since the start of Nyra, we have basically been an automotive software supplier. And today we're quite big, have quite a big market share. This is some selective automotive customers with, yeah, so we have quite a big market share, and that's still our main sort of, that's where our main revenues come from today. But since I think around 2016, we've been working with sort of the infrastructure industry. So basically, we have been taking the data that we've been using for our automotive products and sort of started to get signals from the roads. So basically, we have turned cars into road sensors, you could say. But I will talk a little bit more about that soon. Yeah, this is our background. In 2001 we started. We were founded by Fredrik Gustafsson at Linköpings University. And these two milestones, 2007 to 2014, where tire pressure monitoring systems became legislation, legal requirements to be in cars. That really helped us, since our main product is a TPMS product called the TPI. In 2016 we launched our first proof of concept for the infrastructure industry, and in 2024 we reached around 100 million. Oh, we reached 100 million licenses for TPI. So we're in more than 100 million cars today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our connected vehicle portfolio or the infrastructure portfolio. Today we have two products called the Road Health and Winter Road Insights. We're also going to launch a new one called Road Safety Zone. But Road Health is basically for asset management customers, people who work with fixing potholes, fixing roads, constructing roads, and maintaining them all year round. Winter Road Insights is a product that we have to help out with winter maintenance. So yeah, salting and plowing and stuff like that, but measuring what they do. So these are some of our sort of data types that we scan. So it can be important to understand we don't really we don't really collect vehicle specific data or anything really about the vehicle, but rather about the road. What does the cars feel on the roads, basically, or sense on the roads? So we have like slippery roads, which is usually friction. Slippery when wet, something that doesn't happen much in Sweden, but it's more common like in Southern European countries. They have different pavement types, and they don't have spiked tires, so sort of the road surface continuously gets polished, and when they get wet, it can become really slippery. The road state is basically roughness, and potholes as well are like GPS coordinates where we detect potholes. We also have some sort of temperature signals, or weather signals we call them, so like wetness and road surface temperature. So this is how our setup works. We have a software we call Tire Grip Indicator. It was mainly, it's called that because when we started we were just working with friction, but now we also added the potholes and we also potholes and roughness and weather signals and some other stuff as well about the roads. But it has a bit of a faulty name now that we've just kept adding stuff. We have our software in the Volkswagen Group vehicles. So Volkswagen, Skoda, Seat, Porsche, and Audi. We're not in Bentley or Lamborghini, really. That's because they don't really have any volume cars. So it would be quite unnecessary to integrate our software there. But the software is sort of installed on the production line together with everything else. So when cars are used, they upload the data to an OEM backend. So Volkswagen and Audi have different backends, but after that they sort of send that to us, and from there we can also add other data sources and create products, basically. These are two automotive connected products that I'm not going to be talking about. But they can signal people. If you have one of these cars, you can actually tell your other trafficants about the road states through alerts. I have a small video here where we show how it looks basically when we collect data. This up here is something called a cam circle. It basically shows different types of forces, and when we get some excitation on these forces, we can have friction measurements. So you can see on the map where we have had different measurements, and then down here, of course, you can see how it looks in time. This is just outside of Mjärdevi some winter day. And when it's like now it's between 0.29 and 0.59 in friction. That's quite a low one, but it's usually not that slippery on sort of dry snow. When you have like ice or wetness on ice, the friction is usually down to 0.10, and that can become really dangerous. Yeah. Yeah. So this is some data from October 23 in Europe. This is the roughness data. In Europe, we have around 1.5 million connected vehicles, and in the USA, we have 500,000. So this is just data collected in one day, and it's actually just half of it, because when we tried to extract all the data, the tool just crashed. So it's just sort of odd road segments with an odd ID. We have, if you look at this, blue roads means that the roughness or the roads are in pretty good state, whereas when it becomes yellow and red, it's worse. We usually call this part going from Italy to the UK as the roughness belt. I've been to Belgium once with my personal car. I'm never gonna do that again, because I felt like I would destroy it. Especially the French-speaking part of Belgium. That's the bad part. Yeah, and I think me and Charlotte here in the white shirt, we were in Birmingham. Was it in April or something? Yeah, and we were taking a 20-minute taxi ride, and Charlotte was screaming in fear all the time because because of how bumpy the road were. So this is how we got started with sort of the infrastructure domain. In 2016, we were actually working with Aksha over here, and they helped us build a sort of dongle that we could connect, and in that dongle we could install our software and connect it to the car, and then upload data. So I think we had maybe 1,000 of these or something like that, a couple of hundred to 1,000 dongles. I think Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Luleå, and we installed this in taxis. So they were sort of our a proof of concept. And we could start building these maps that I showed, but it was of course less data. In 2018 we started our first project with Trafikverket, or the Swedish Road Administration, and they were using this dongle solution. And then we had a similar project in the Netherlands with the Rijkswaterstaat. That's their Department of Transportation. They work with roads and water stuff, I think. And they had also there we had a connection, collaboration with a telemetrics company called Mind something. I don't remember. There we had like 20,000 cars, because they had a solution where we could just push the software to the cars. And in end of 2020, I think specifically week 48, Volkswagen Group started to collect, started to produce vehicles with our software in it, with our connected software. And then things started happening. There was a lot of interest in 2021, 2022, 2023, where we were running a lot of different projects. I'm not going to go through them all, but something that stood out was the city of Gothenburg, where they used our data for winter maintenance purposes, and they reduced they increased sort of delivery of winter maintenance by 50%. And something that was kind of cool, we could see that by measuring with our data that they did a lot of improvements. But another thing was that they actually also reduced the number of complaints by 50%. So our data was sort of correlating quite well with the complaints. So that was really fun. And actually last winter, I heard from them that people were started to call in and telling them how good of a job they were doing, which was kind of different for them. So before Road Insights I mentioned that earlier, that's our new tool. We had another user interface, it's just this user interface. We just did it basically because we wanted to look at the data that we were getting. So just visualizing data. And then customers or these projects, they started to ask for a way to look at our data. So we provide them this tool as well. It was never really meant to be a product, but we started selling that. But it started to show that, it didn't really fulfill any requirements that they had. It didn't really help them. It was just a data visualization tool. But that really sort of may caused problems because, I'm going to get into that a little bit more. So we had, these slides are in the wrong order, but let's take this one then. We started off by actually trying to sell raw data and not any type of products or insight or information to the customers that we sort of extract from the data. And this is a partner that we actually had that was supposed to help us sell data. But they went bankrupt last year, and that's because basically there is not really any of these customers in the infrastructure sector that have the capability of handling this amount of data. So they don't really, they couldn't really use it unless they had us to help them, which we did in the projects. So we didn't have a scalable solution. That's why we started working with Road Insights in the end. But our Road interface, it could show all of our data everywhere at any selected time. These are some screenshots from different places. That's New York, I think. And that was usually the response, that this is really cool, it's impressive, and some people didn't think it was real. But then this question always came up, what they use it for. It was just colors on a map. And we basically had to use sort of our human resources to extract information that they needed. So just throwing data on people didn't seem to work good. But luckily we of course had this project running, and from that we could keep sort of interviewing the customers, getting lots of feedback on what they needed to do. We didn't have anyone with the competence of sort of road maintenance or winter road maintenance. Nobody has ever driven a plow truck at Nyra. So, well, now we've actually hired 2 people who who have some competence. That helps out a lot. But that's the sort of main thing that we took feedback from customers. So this is a screenshot of Road Insights. Now we're showing winter Road Insights. Road Health is another product, so we can have different products in Road Insights. It's more of a service or a platform that hosts different products. It doesn't look much different. It's a map and it's some charts. So it might not seem like that big of a deal. But one thing that we took from the customers was that before we showed all the data everywhere, and they had absolute no interest in that. They wanted to be able to extract or manage their own road network and see the data on just their roads. This, when we started working on that, then you can see then we can actually create like metrics, KPIs, and charts on just their roads. If we had done this in the old user interface, it would just be noise because there's so many roads that they're not interested in. So if I go back one slide, this is actually an operating area called Västra Södertörn, which is south of Stockholm, which I think Svevi operates it for Trafikverket, and it's just the national road. So you see, it's just these colored roads that are theirs, whereas if we had plotted all the roads, it would be just a mess. But that was one of the most critical things that we have solved. And another thing is that to do this we had to reshape our backend. It's not just a new interface. Before we used something called ScyllaDB, which is a database, a wide column NoSQL data model. And now we use Postgres, which is a relational data model. And now nobody probably understands what this means. But basically, if Postgres is like a library where you have books ordered in alphabetic order and by genre, then ScyllaDB is more like that you store the books in lots of boxes in a warehouse where you can pick a box and get lots of them, but it might be you might only want one of the boxes, one of the books. So yeah, less organized basically. But then we started working with Postgres. We had a little bit different costs. Now you might think we're idiots. So we have cost on the y-axis here, but we're not. That's because if you would store all the data that we had in Scylla, it would look like that. But now instead, we just store the customer relevant data, and then it becomes completely different. And now you think, okay, you collect that much data and you threw it away. But no, when working with databases, we talk about hot storage and cold storage, where hot storage is usually where you can sort of access the data quickly, but that then you also have a higher cost for the database. Whereas the cold storage is something that it takes longer to access. It might cost more just to do the access, but it's very cheap to store it. So then we use something called Amazon S3. That's a cold storage, and Postgres and Scylla are hot storages. But we store all the data there, and that doesn't really cost a lot. And whenever we get a new customer and they want, historical data, we can just migrate that data to the Postgres. And so we avoid a lot of high costs. might want to see a little bit more about Road Insights. So I'll show a video. Yeah, it works. Yeah. So this is just a start. We just got started, and now we can actually, because we've had this frustration that we couldn't really do what we wanted with the sort of old platform that we had. So now we can build things. Now I showed you a little bit of a taste, but in the coming months we're gonna start working more with building metrics for the users, because today, for in winter maintenance, for example, people don't measure the results. So the only measurement they have, that's when the media or the newspaper starts writing about how bad the winter maintenance is, and then they have no way of defending themselves, or it comes as a surprise. But now they can actually keep on working with the information. So that's where we are headed now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, and now we go into the next section of this Tech Tuesday today. The most important one. All your questions will now be answered about all the systems. So I'll just run around with the microphone. That's the reason why we do that, is because the people online can hear the question. And then I will run up to you and then I will pass it on. So, any questions? Yes.
Yes. Many cars have can read road signs, and the road signs gets dirty. Trafikverket washes the road signs. Can you connect that to your measurement, and also bushes and grass in the ditch besides the road? You can see with these cameras in the cars. Have you thought about that?
Yes, especially road signs. That's something that we have. I mentioned in the beginning a new product called Road Safety is coming, so that will be a part of that. We're actually working now with Trafikverket with lane markings. So whenever the lane markings are wearing out, we can detect that as well. Today, Trafikverket they scan about 5% of the road network. The rest is just darkness for them, so they don't really know what the state is. So we can really help out there. When it comes to bushes and grass that's growing out, that's something that we sometimes can see on with the lane markings. We have also detected when there's too much dirt on there as well, but we don't have any way of detecting too much growth, because we don't work directly with sort of image data. It's more like the features that the camera extracts from the car that we work with.
I'm not sure whether what was completely interesting. I also wondered why Austria is such a black spot on your road map. That's something different. I wonder how, like, I'm the owner of the car with the tires, and what is the value for me? Is it like in the morning I enter my car and check the streets I'm planning to go onto wherever I need to go, and then I pick the right streets because I pick the streets where there's no snow or the streets which are not wet, and then there's Volkswagen. Most likely they offer me in their new cars this additional feature in the entertainment system, this kind of warning system or whatever. And then the flow is that I as a consumer pay Volkswagen for this cool future, and Volkswagen pays you for this cool idea and the cool software including front end and back end. Is this, did I get it?
So for automotive users, there are the alerts that we have. So that's it's not necessarily just for Volkswagen, but it's Volkswagen vehicles that collects the data, telling you when where it's slippery. You could use it for navigation and decide to not take a dangerous route. That's something that you could do, or you could also use the information to plan. Because if you look at, you might expect that you might not make the journey in time, for example. So giving the drivers more awareness is basically what we are doing. But then it's also another thing that's sort of coming is to help out with the ADA system, the sort of automatic driving system, to help the cars understand what the road state is. Did I answer all questions?
I think yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. So if a pothole is detected, I wonder if the road maintenance staff want to locate the pothole, how accurate or how easy they can do such things. And another question is like, I mean, people who buy such vehicles supporting this functionalities, they share the data with you, and in return, do they have access for this road insights, or do you plan to share with them as a customer or user? Yes.
Did you mean the customers that buy the data?
No, the customer. I mean, the user who own the vehicle.
Okay.
Collect the data, right?
Yeah.
In return, what
Yeah.
do they get?
They get, for example, the alerts is something that they can get for free. So they get things back to the car if it's available. But they don't get road insights. Road insights is built for people working with infrastructure. Yeah. And the other question was, can you remind me again?
What is like the positioning or location?
Right, the accuracy. That's the same as the GPS or GNSS accuracy. So it depends on how many satellites it's connected to. Most of the time in Europe, it's you're connected to 6 satellites, and then you have like, I don't know what it is, less than a meter at least accurate. Sometimes you might have 3 satellites, and then it's like 10 meters or something. I might be completely lying, but yeah, in that order. But then, I mean, you don't need to know exactly where the pothole is if you go out to fix it, because if you just pinpoint the location within 10 meters, you'll see it with your eyes. So it's, yeah.
Yes, I have a question about the beginning of it all. Like, what did Fredrik, what kind of utmaning, what kind of challenge did he see to actually start to say, let's build this?
So if you talk about the infrastructure, I think it was more that we saw the capability of uploading data and then just trying it out. I don't know if anyone here has more information. No. I wasn't there when we started with the infrastructure stuff. Fredrik wasn't really involved in this, I think. But Nyra started out as it was basically a master's thesis to measure friction and tire pressure. Yeah.
Then I think one big Finnish applause. Thank you very much for coming today. And I think you will stay a little longer if somebody is a little shy and not want to speak in public and come up and have a good tips. And I know if the people that are not wearing like a purple necklace want to speak with other people from Nyra, all the people with the purple necklace is a part of the crew. So if you want a little more about the stories or details, I think there are people to help you here today. So I just want to wrap up this Tech Tuesday by highlighting that next Tech Tuesday will be the 26th of November. So later this month, it will be Sector coming and speaking a little about what they are doing in the pipeline. They have a lot of new things highlighted. So I think that will be a little longer one. We actually do that day because they have a lot to talk about. And then we will finish this year up with a Combi Check coming in December. So there is still 2 Tech Tuesday to go. And to put a bow of this little IT presentation today from Nyra, I actually brought 2 of our roll-ups from Linköping Science Park. It's the Cyberly one and it's the IT World, because I just want to remind you we are one of the leading science park in Sweden but also in Europe on these 2 topics, which I think connect so beautiful to what you were talking about today. So if there is any questions about these 2 projects or these 2 platforms about in this science park, you can come to me after. But thank you for coming and have a really nice week.